welcome to the October meeting of the Town of Milton Planning Board. Mr. Whittle, would you please lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And just for the record, Ms. Van Dientz is not able to attend tonight, so Ms. Yelenik will be standing in as the alternate. I just got a couple quick announcements. On September 28th, the Comprehensive Plan Committee met, and I believe that'll be the last time that they meet for the comprehensive plan. They discussed the comments received to date on the draft plan, made some recommendations to Delaware Engineering regarding some final changes to be considered. Delaware Engineering will be making some of those changes and is prepared to present a final draft plan on October 10th. That will be delivered to the board and available for the public to review at least 10 days prior to the scheduled public hearing on October 23rd. The town board will be taking comments both in person and at the public hearing on October 23rd. So if you have any comments you want to make, you can send them by email to the board, by mail, or deliver them in person at the hearing on October 23rd. So if you do have comments that you'd like to make, I suggest you pull them together ASAP and look at the final draft when it comes out no later than October 10th. Adam Yagelski of Delaware Engineering has also reached out to a small group of stakeholders regarding the initial steps on the solar and battery storage moratorium and new regulations. This group is not met yet, but should be meeting soon, and there'll be more to follow on that. That moratorium lasts through, I think it's January 29th, but I don't know that they'll extend that again or not, but that work will be commencing pretty soon here. Anybody else have anything they want to bring up at this time? If not, our first action tonight will be the approval of our September meeting minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve the Milton Planning Board meeting minutes of September 10th, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
John Whittle, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jim Frey. Are there any changes or discussion on the meeting minutes? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Whittle?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Miss Marin?
Yes.
Miss Yelenik?
Yes.
Chairman Barto?
Yes. Okay, at this point, we'll open the meeting up for public comment. Please note that we do not have any other public comment opportunities this evening. So if you have any comments on any matter before the board, please bring them up now. We continue to have both virtual and in-person opportunities for comments. So I'd ask if you're Zooming with us and you want to make comment, please use the hand wave feature. I'd also ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and try to avoid redundant comments. If you have written comments, please summarize those and leave a copy with us so they can be on the record and we can distribute them to all the board members. At that time, I will open the public comment at 7:03 p.m. Is there anybody that'd like to address the board at this time? Then we will close the public comment period shortly after 7:03 p.m. Okay, then moving on, our first project this evening is a minor subdivision application at 652 Acland Boulevard. The project is an unlisted action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, so I will entertain a motion to classify the action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act as unlisted and to declare the Town of Milton Planning Board as lead agency for the purposes of the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Do I have a motion?
Also move.
Jim Frey, do I have a second?
I'll second.
John Whittle, is there any discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano?
Yes.
Dula?
Yes.
Mr. Whittle?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Miss Marin?
Yes.
Miss Yelenik?
Yes.
Chairman Barto?
Yes. Mr. Van Gilder, are you here on behalf of the applicant?
Good evening. My name is Patrick Rose. I'm with Van Gilder Associates. I'm here tonight on behalf of the owners for the Three-lot
Rosen?
subdivision we're requesting on 652 Acland Boulevard. Just to go over it real quick. This is the entire piece here. 652 R is the first lot. That's 3.72 acres. 652A is in the center. That's 2.88 acres. And then 652B is 1.04 acres. It's in the R1 zone. They're all served with public water and sewer. They all meet the bulk requirements of the zone. We do have the wetlands delineated on the map. The majority of it stays with the original parcel, just a little bit here. So when you have the buffer, it's still well away from where the construction is proposed. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Maruso, do you have any comments for us?
Yes, good evening. As the applicant's representative indicated, they're pursuing a request for minor subdivision on a parcel here at 652 Acland Boulevard. I provided a planning and zoning review to you. Page 3, you'll note that I broke down by lot sizes how those lots conform and their bulk requirements. So what's being proposed is consistent with the zoning. One of the things, I think one of the pieces that we encountered with this particular request, and one of the reasons why we have a little bit more supplemental information, is that we had to navigate a condition of approval with the 2001 subdivision, in which this original lot was created that contained a restriction on further subdivision. We pursued more in that information in the record of that decision making, and in combing through the environmental assessment forms, the secret documentation, the stormwater management plans, we were trying to understand if there was a clear nexus between the restriction and a particular concern that was unique to this site. In my professional opinion, I was not able to render one. And this application is here because the applicant, in order to pursue minor subdivision, would have to pursue this process anyhow. But they're also confronting a pre-existing condition of approval that needs modification or removal in order for them to pursue this. So it's a little bit unique with that background context, but as I indicated, what's being proposed is conforming with zoning, and the applicant, as directed, has been corresponding with DEC with regard to the wetland delineation and confirming those boundaries. So they have fulfilled their due diligence in understanding what the environmental constraints are for the site. And now 21 years later, we have a clearer picture of what's restricted and what's available on site for this subdivision. So it's a little unique in that regard, but nothing that the board can't manage, I think. Additionally, we will be referring this to the county planning board because of its proximity to the runway protection zone. So we will be hearing back from them at some point, and we'll render that referral to the board as well. So it's in my opinion, if I may be so bold, that the prior condition of approval, I believe that the board is in the position of being able to modify that based on the research that this individual applicant has pursued and the understanding that they are providing something that's zoning conforming. There have been subsequent subdivisions in that area, and there is a degree of activity and precedent that's happened in this area that I think the applicant is valid for pursuing this subdivision and at least seeking that with the board.
Okay. So specific to the wetland, I know our attorney, Glenn Bruning, has raised that this is I'm not going to get this term right, but it's a project. It's not a project related approval. It's a parcel approval. Can you just explain that and what that means at this point?
Sure. When the DEC changed their regulations became effective at the beginning of the year, they provided a two-part process for looking at projects and properties for wetlands. And the first is a initial determination of whether or not a wetland exists on the parcel, and that's called a parcel jurisdictional determination. What they want to know is if there's a regulated wetland there that needs to be cared for, regulated. And if they believe there is, or if the applicant believes, or the applicant consultant believes that there is a wetland, it would be delineated. And in this particular case, the applicant's consultant did in fact provide a delineation to DEC, and DEC validated that delineation. So that's the first step. And then and that's the application materials that you have in front of you. Now, in order to determine whether any particular project requires a DEC wetland permit, they would be required to get the second step, which is a project jurisdictional determination. And at this point, I don't think the applicant has requested one yet, but at some point, they may or may not do so.
Okay. And that would be associated with any future specific project, such as building a home on parcel A or parcel B. The other thing I'd note is it seems that the delineated wetland that was on a separate document is at a different size than the wetland that was shown on the survey.
Okay.
So what I'd like to see you do is change the survey to actually show the delineated wetland that DEC did.
Do that.
Because I think that's going to change, it's going to change the wetland and then the associated buffer area. So how much impacted 652A is could change
Okay.
in terms of both, is any wetland actually on 652A, and let alone what's the adjacent area or the buffer area associated to that.
Okay.
But clearly, it looks as if there's going to be plenty of room to have both a buildable area and a home on 652A. 652B isn't even impacted or doesn't appear to even be impacted at all by this wetland.
Right.
And certainly less than, so given the one that's there. So now that you've got this, what I think they did, is they probably provided you with the GPS coordinates that,
Yeah, we can certainly get it on the next submittal for sure.
well, that would be the one to do it. And I'd reference that, specifically on here,
Okay.
as rather than just saying wetlands shown here are validated, I would say a wetlands delineation was provided and referenced that specifically.
Okay.
And reference this letter, and a parcel jurisdictional determination was referenced and cite this letter.
Okay.
And you might want to say in there, a subsequent project determination may be necessary. I think you're only going to need it if you get all into the adjacent area. If somebody's going to do something outside that adjacent area, it's obvious you're not going to need
The
DC.
secondary, yeah,
determination.
yeah. I mean, there would be no reason to go into it that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it wouldn't be advisable to go into
No, not
it.
at all.
Because then you're definitely going to need a permit. So,
Good.
I mean, if somebody's going to go in there and excavate, if they're going to remove stuff, I don't know what's on that site.
Right.
I'd say avoid it at all cost.
I mean, that's normally what we do anyhow.
Yeah,
Is just try to avoid that.
and just flag it and
Sure.
not do anything with it. So, I guess, since we now have our wetlands clarifications, the county reviews are commenced.
Mhm.
We've sent them in,
Yes.
and, I guess I'm comfortable at this point classifying this action under seeker, which I think is going to be an unlisted action. We can't do our seeker determination until we hear back from the county, but we should have that by our next review. And I'd be willing to say, let's go ahead and schedule the public hearing for next month in the anticipation that we'll have that county referral. If anything, we can either postpone or adjourn the hearing until we have that,
That's
I
fine.
don't
Yeah, we'd
think
like to schedule.
to needlessly delay getting going on this. So if the board's with that, I'm ready to move ahead and go ahead and do a seeker classification. So I'd entertain a motion to classify this 3-lot minor subdivision as an unlisted action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and that the Town of Milton Planning Board declaring itself as lead agency.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
John Whittle, do we have a second?
I'll second.
I don't know. Is there any discussion? Being no discussion, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin,
Yes.
Ms. Yelenick,
Yes.
Chairman Bartow.
Yes. Okay, so since we're still going to wait for the 239 referral from the county as well as hearing from the airport, we'll hold off on the seeker determination. which we can do just prior to the hearing or postpone or adjourn, whatever. But nevertheless, I'll entertain a motion to schedule a public hearing for a 3-lot minor subdivision at 652 Acland Boulevard for 7:05 PM on Wednesday, November 12th, 2025.
Also move.
Right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Whittle. Any further discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Gaba,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Miss Marin,
Yes.
Miss Yelenik,
Yes.
Chairman Barto.
Yes. Okay, so we will follow up with the county tomorrow to make sure that gets on track. And if we hear anything, we'll let you know, but otherwise we'll see you on November 12th for a public hearing.
Mike,
Maps in for you as well.
Yes.
I have one question, quick
Sure.
question. What is a concrete monument damage found at the corner of the lot?
It's a surveying thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's normally it's about this big.
Oh, it's not a monument.
No, it's not what you're thinking. It's a concrete.
As opposed to an iron rod, it's a concrete
Right.
thing that was stuck in the ground.
It almost looks like a 4x4. It's just concrete. The ones that I've seen anyway.
We should go on a road trip to see it.
We could if you want. You know, it's interesting. Those may have been set by the county
Very possible. Yeah.
as like DPW as opposed to iron rods that look like they were set by the surveyor at other corners.
Right.
Because there's another concrete one at the other corner. The rest of them are all iron rods.
It's a lot easier to set the iron rod than the monument for sure.
County's used to doing them on highways though,
Right.
so. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, next, back before us this evening is a 2-lot minor subdivision at 429 Sodeman Road. If you recall, this was last before us in July where we had questions regarding wetlands and DEC wetlands determinations. The applicant also had to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for an area variance for a barn structure that would be within the front setback of a newly created lot. The ZBA has granted that variance at their September meeting, and the applicant is back before us for that. At this point, we need to make a seeker classification, and I would suggest that this is an unlisted action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. I will entertain a motion to classify this 2-lot minor subdivision as an unlisted action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and that the Town of Milton Planning Board declare itself as lead agency. We have a motion.
Also move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Gula,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Miss Marin,
Yes.
Miss Yelenik,
Yes.
Chairman Barto.
Yes. Applicant or the agent?
On the eighth,
Okay.
my name's Dan Wheeler. I prepared the map. I'm the surveyor for the project.
Yep.
And basically, we're having received the variances. We're back in front of you and proposing this 2-lot subdivision. One is a 5-acre lot with the existing house, septic and well, and that's, they wish to put that on the market. It was, the people who owned it, it was their parents' house. Right now, there's no one in it. And they're going to sell the house, and we received the variances we needed so we could maintain the accessory structure. If you have any questions, it seems pretty straightforward. I think Sophia's review addressed all of that.
Okay. Ms. Maruso, do you have anything further to add at this point?
Thank you for the invitation. Just to reaffirm the variances that were required to create these zoning conforming lots now allows the board to consider action of a subdivision. The applicant is not proposing any construction on the first lot at this time. The state that because one of the considerations the zoning board had to consider was the amount of accessory use without primary structure. I'm getting somewhere with this. At this time, because the applicant isn't proposing immediate construction, I think the planning board may have purview to consider how that final subdivision represents or the degree to which it represents the wetland delineation with those associated buffers and building envelopes. So it's a little bit different than our prior application in as much as we don't have any actual construction proposed at this time. Zaloga was more imminent, but it is up to the board to determine how much of that information needs to be on that subdivision plat when the applicant is being entertained for potential. But other than that, I don't have any additional comments. Saratoga County Planning Board would not have review purview over this because it doesn't meet the criteria, but otherwise, planning board's on track to consider the remainder of this application.
Okay. Does the board have any questions at this time? Okay, so I guess the only question I have on this is seeker does, or I'm not seeker. The wetlands law does require subdivisions subdivisions are subject to the wetlands law. But you're right, there's nothing being proposed for development here, so I don't know that the parcel has to have it.
I would love to add in a little condition here. There is a practice already existing when someone's applying for a single family residential permit at a
Yeah.
building department. We have to pursue or request a JD at that time.
Yeah.
Our building department has been incredibly consistent and proactive about upholding that legislation to the degree which we are responsible.
It's crazy.
And that's now become a standard part of the, standard operations within our department. So to the degree that the board is comfortable, something that they might be able to entertain is requiring that information at such time construction is proposed. And I would add that that might be more prudent because our wetland boundaries do change.
Yep.
And that would be required after 5 years anyhow. So if there wasn't imminent construction, they would have to redelineate and get that confirmation at that point anytime, or be subject to whatever wetland regulations are in place at
Yep.
that time. I think the planning board could effectively consider that when they're considering approval.
I mean, you're correct. What are we even looking at? And we know that even in lot 2, there's a wetland that comes in from the north with buffer area that comes in on it. And depending whatever somebody might do, that's the lot you're selling. Somebody might do something that could encroach on that wetland. But we don't know that right now. So I don't even know what to say at this point.
I think the planning board is satisfying its requirement of acknowledging the New York State DEC regulations and appropriately allowing an applicant to pursue their property ownership rights under the subdivision application that they've already received variances for. I think that the planning board could establish controls at the time of approval that would ensure that the applicant pursues the approvals that they need to at the time that that trigger is pulled. But it may be premature to require at this time.
So you're suggesting just put a condition on the subdivision approval
At such time.
or notice that
at such
sometimes
time
that
of
you ever
building
get a
permit.
building permit,
That's-
you may well have to do a jurisdictional inquiry.
Yeah, and we could even zoom out and just have that referred to the wetland regulations that are applicable at that time, especially if
Yeah.
in 5 years that code changes and JD is required. But I think that if we are making reference to that, those laws and regulations are still extant. And Mr. Lewis is requiring that consistently of all proposals.
Okay.
I think that the planning board could safely continue to review the application
comfortable
under
with that.
those conditions.
I just don't even know what we'd be asking them to do.
Isn't that standard procedure to go get that DEC review when you build on your property?
Absolutely. If
Right.
somebody was proposing something, and I've heard this informally from DEC, is if you're not within 400 feet of a wetland, don't even send it to us because we don't have time to deal with it. Well, we wouldn't even know if something's within 400 feet here because there's nothing being proposed to be done,
Right.
other than we're subdividing a lot.
So why put any kind of requirement notification if that's?
I just think we just put a note on the subdivision that says, when you go to do something, you might have to, well, I don't even think you have to do that. If the building department's doing
At
it.
the time of the discussion of approval, you
Yeah.
can include that in the body of the minutes. And as
Just-
Mr.
just
Marks,
as a
you're
note.
saying
As
that
a note in
regulation
the-
exists anyway. They're going to be, just like we don't need to say whatever you build is subject to New York State building code.
Yeah.
Such as the same with, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's also there's a wisdom to that as well. But the board has time to determine that. I would recommend that considering a public hearing for this application.
No, I'm for that. I'm just trying to, I'm also suggesting we go through the environmental assessment now.
Understood,
And the question's going to be, are the wetlands here? Yeah,
but there's no.
But there's no
proposed
impact.
Disturbance. There's no, there's not even 100 square feet of disturbance proposed.
no,
So
there's no disturbance.
There's no soil disturbance.
All right.
Can I ask another
Yeah,
question
sure.
about the zoning board's?
Oh, God,
approval?
go into it.
I'm sorry, I'm,
Go ahead, go for it.
what I'm reading is that, it seems to give him the right to build all the way to 50, whatever that, it had a weird number, I don't want to. 53.4 feet or
They're
something.
giving him that much relief.
Yeah, so does that mean that his buildable envelope is actually bigger and he can do it? Because it doesn't say to where, it just says from that area. So to me, it looks like
We'll let-
they've
We'll
moved the
let
building.
Glenn, he was there.
So maybe I misunderstand what they're saying.
So it needed two variances, one from the setback,
Front yard.
front setback. And so it's just to bring the current building into compliance with the town code. So it's now got a variance for the setback. So now it's okay. And the second variance was the area variance for having a accessory structure without a principal.
Right.
So there's
So-
no building authorized.
But does it prohibit them from making it bigger
Well,
where it is?
technically, as a
I don't
standard
think
of,
it does.
as a standard of practice, though, any pre-existing non-conforming use, which is, this would be it. It'd be a legal pre-existing non-conforming use. Now that's got an area variance,
Well, it has a variance, so now it's legal,
but it's still not legally non-conforming.
but it's
Isn't it?
still legal because you can't change the zoning on it and make it illegal
They
again.
didn't change the zoning, just gave them an area variance.
Yeah, which,
So the applicant isn't proposing any modifications to those pre-existing
No, not
structures.
yet.
And I think
It's
the
the
planning
next
board
person.
needs to consider the application and the proposed.
But I would,
action for them. That's
wouldn't it
just the-
still be considered a legal non-conforming use?
Well, they would.
It's not
need-
the use is perfectly.
the use is
Wouldn't that
okay.
require a building permit and our review at that point?
Well,
Yeah, and
And
It would require another variance.
Yeah, if you
because
wanted to expand it and
You're expanding
a non-conforming
use.
structure. And technically, you're not supposed to increase the area, bulk, size, or intensity of the use. Unless you can prove it hardship, and already they've gotten relief.
again, at this time, the planning board is
Yeah.
simply charged with the task of considering the minor subdivision. There's no proposed construction at this time. The building department will still administer their programmatic requirements, New York State Building Code and permitting, application processes as well. But right now, we're simply looking at a two-lot subdivision.
Yeah.
If I could just add, what I should have said also is that the variance expires because the zoning board was concerned about authorizing the accessory structure without a principal. So they talked with the applicant and the applicant agreed that he was only interested in keeping it in this manner, so long as it was in the family. So they negotiated a provision which allows the variance to expire if the parcel is sold at fair market value unless a principal structure is built. So that was an interesting, unique compromise. It's a little unusual, maybe it's a lot unusual. But it was to address the concern of the zoning board on this very point. And secondly, just to clarify also, because I may have misled you somewhat. There is absolutely no requirement on the planning board or the zoning board or the town for that matter to do anything with respect to the DC wetlands. But failure to do that failure to do something puts both the applicant and the town in a very awkward place, because you could approve something that has to be completely redone after DEC takes a look at it. So you don't want to do that, and we aren't. And that's just really important to know that you don't actually have an obligation. You're going above and beyond to help applicants and to make sure the town doesn't do anything that becomes a problem later. So, and of course, the wetlands permitting process is only if you disturb a buffer zone or a wetland. So in this unusual case where you have a subdivision, which there's no plan for any disturbance, you don't have to worry.
So it's
Is
weird.
is that expiration written somewhere?
It's in that, it's in the approval. It's kind of
It's in the
weird.
resolution?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's weird. So is that saying if it's sold to a non-family member at fair market value, the building's got to come down?
Exactly. So either the building has to come down or something else happens, or a principal structure gets built. Or the applicant, the new buyer comes in and asks for the variance and explains what they're planning to do. I think in this particular, so unusual that the owner and the zoning board was comfortable has other properties, and they have a lot of equipment that they need to store inside in order to use on the other properties. And they're gonna stay there. The family's been there a long time.
But if they sell it to John Doe and John Doe is going to build a house there,
Perfectly fine.
oh, he can still keep the barn.
Yes,
They just can't sell it to John Doe who says, I'm going to own it and leave the barn.
correct.
Then the Gaba family has to tear the building down.
Or the new owner has to come in and ask for an, or
Another
the perspective owner coming for variance, and then maybe cut his or her own deal with the zoning board about it.
That's crazy.
And the reason for that, it's a good, very good reason for the zoning board's perspective. You wind up somebody having that structure without a principal dwelling, for example, and, it becomes
A
a
precedent.
storage,
Yeah.
or a commercial operation or anything else that is inconsistent with your zoning code.
Okay.
And I would add, the planning board doesn't need to be concerned about the conformity of the lots, because that issue was thoroughly rectified with
Sure.
that
Okay.
review process. So if the planning board's uncomfortable because there's not perfect familiarity with the ZBA area variance process, I understand, and they have established that these are zoning conforming lots. So now the planning board is looking at a zoning conforming subdivision, 2-lot subdivision. It actually doesn't have to be terribly overcomplicated. I would address.
No, I hear you. Okay. All right. With that, are you good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions at this time? All right, then what I'll do is read the questions of the short environmental assessment form. So I'm going to walk through these 11 questions really quickly. Stop if you disagree or have a question about me and what I'm saying about each one of these. Number 1, will the proposed action create a material conflict with the adopted land use plan or zoning code? I'm saying no or small impact. Number 2, will the proposed action result in the change of use or intensity of the land use? I'm saying no or small impact. Number 3, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Saying no or small impact. Number 4, will the proposed action have an impact on a critical or environmental characteristic that caused the establishment of a critical environmental area? I'm saying no, we don't have any critical environmental areas. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? I'm saying no. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? I'm saying no. Number 7, will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment facilities? I'm saying no. Number 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? I'm saying no. Number 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna? I'm saying no. Number 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? I'm saying no. Number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? I'm saying no. So I'm saying we will have no, having reviewed the application and the seeker record and found no significant adverse environmental impacts, I'm saying we see no need for any further environmental review. In which case, I will entertain a motion to authorize the chair to sign and file the State Environmental Quality Review Act, Short Environmental Assessment Form Part 3, Negative Declaration. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Jim Marsicano, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jim Frey. Is there any further discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin,
Yes.
Ms. Yelenik,
Yes.
Chairman Barto.
Yes. Now, having completed having a complete application before us and completed our seeker obligations, I'll entertain a motion to schedule a public hearing for a 2-lot minor subdivision at 429 Sodeman Road on Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 7:10 PM. Do I have a motion? Anybody?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Come on,
Second.
rookie.
Is there any discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle.
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin,
Yes.
Ms. Yelenik,
Yes.
Chairman Barto.
Yes. Is there any other matter to be brought before the board? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at, what time is it, folks?
7:37.
7:37? 7:37 PM. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? We're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.